Most likely you or someone that you're close to has asked you this question. Are we called to serve God or are we called to serve people? Why don't I find joy in serving people? And why am I getting tired of serving? In this episode, we're going to look at the big question, who and what are you serving? And a few practical things that would help on your journey with God. Thank you all for joining us. If this is your first time, please consider subscribing to the channel. And if you have already subscribed, please take a moment to turn on the notifications so you get alerts for our upcoming episodes. So, who and what are we serving? First of all, it's very important that we serve a higher purpose. What do I mean by that? See, James and John in Mark chapter 10, they were saying, grant us to sit, one at your right and one to the left. And so James and John were basically saying that we have served you well, Jesus, and we want to continue to do it from a position that is so close to you, to your left and to your right. And so James and John was tying their position to how they serve God himself. And Jesus responds by getting on his knees and saying, you want to be to my right and to my left, start washing the feet of the disciples, start washing the feet of your fellow brothers. See, you can't have a personal agenda when you want to serve. So serving is all about a kingdom agenda. Serving is about doing something that has a higher purpose behind it. So you can't have this personal agenda when it comes to the things of God and the things of heaven itself. So serving is all about a kingdom agenda. And unless we have a higher purpose in mind that we are serving, we will miss out on the true meaning of what it means to serve each other. And the second thing I want to share is that serving is meant to bring forth life. So even in Genesis, the way God was even first introduced to mankind is God stooping down to each one of us that didn't even have life. Adam and Eve, who did not have life, stooping down and putting life into them. He started by serving humankind. All right. So we don't serve out of a place of obligation, but we serve out of a place of love. In fact, our serving should bring forth new life in the people that we are in contact with. And the third thing I want to share is that serving becomes a joy. Serving does not become a burnout when you are serving what you value. What do I mean by that? Colossians chapter 3 talks about do it for the Lord and not for men. Everything that we do it unto God and for God. Every time we have an opportunity to serve someone, we have to remind ourselves that we are doing it for God, unto God, and for God itself. So the issue is that sometimes we are so eager to serve Jesus, but then when Jesus brings the ones that are made in his image and likeness, we tend to run away from that because we are eager to serve Jesus, and yet we haven't found the value that Jesus has put in our fellow brothers and sisters. And the truth is that we can only serve something that we see value for. So in the Bible, Esther is probably one of the greatest examples to look at of serving a higher purpose. If we were in the position of Esther, we might be looking for a way to self-promote. We might look for a way to go from a status of being a slave to going to a status of being the queen and being satisfied with it and saying, wow, that's the favor of God on my life. That is the blessing of God on my life. But when it came to Esther, her motive itself behind serving the king was to make sure that God's people was taken care of. She was serving a higher purpose, honoring God, and using her influence, her position to touch the heart of a king and speak life into the bleak future of her tribe itself. So serving is not anything to do with us feeling better about ourselves. Serving is not to make us feel better of who we are as a human being, but it's meant to channel, serve, and do the things that God has already destined for his people on earth as it is in heaven. Esther did not save a nation by her wealth, but by believing and serving a purpose that is so much bigger than her, and it was even more bigger than the people that she was trying to save. It was a purpose destined by heaven itself. See, note that serving is bigger than us. It's bigger than the people that we serve. It's bigger than our destinies. We serve a higher purpose. We don't serve for identity, but we serve from a place of identity. In fact, we miss opportunities to be effective when we want to be served versus when we want to serve others and serve a higher purpose that is destined by God. See, when all we want to know, when we become just like the disciples, like James and John, when we become just like them, all we want to know is who is the closest to Jesus, who is to his left, who is to his right. And when Jesus is looking at who is the one closest to the feet of the one that's in need, if we are in that place and looking at who is closest to Jesus, who is to the left and right of Jesus, we have missed the purpose that Christ came and walked down on earth for. We have true wealth when it's tied to a higher purpose. We have true influence on earth when it's tied to a higher purpose. In fact, we cannot serve people without reservations when it's tied to no purpose. We can serve people when we see value. We can serve people when there's a higher purpose behind it. So I want to challenge you today, each one of us, including me, what is the reason behind our serving? Is it fulfilling the purpose of God, or is it fulfilling our own desires? Is it fulfilling the heart of God, or are we serving to feel good about who we are made to be? Pray that you would choose to serve from a place of knowing your identity, that you would serve because there is a higher purpose that you're serving. And you are serving God himself, and everything that you do is done unto God. And it is done with so much excellence that God himself invites you to be on his left and to his right. You and I are called to serve a higher purpose. I pray that this blessed you. Thank you for watching, and God bless you.